Hello everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels, and it is Tuesday morning and we're back here for the coffee stream, and I feel like I have a fucking pyramid on my head, I swear to God. Like my fucking hair, like every time my hair does this, when it's like this length and it gets like curly and poofy like this, I look like I have a pyramid head. I hate it. I fucking hate it. Ugh, it's annoying. Anyway, besides that, we're I'm here and I've got a couple of things for us to take a look at before we get into the main bulk of the presentation, which is question period has returned to this glorious land for the next probably month and a half before they go on summer vacation. Of course, you know, because they go on summer vacation. They go on summer break before the kids do. You realize that? The politicians, they go on summer break like in mid-June and the kids are done at the end of June. It's bullshit. Anyway, I'm rambling. But yes, we have the return of question period. But before that, I've got, like I said, I've got a couple of other videos, one of which is the Ermac trailer, because that just dropped today out of nowhere. They didn't even put out an announcement or anything. They were just like, casually just like, hey guys, here's an Ermac trailer. How are you doing? And I did cheat. I did watch somebody streaming on Twitch this morning. He is a commentator for the NetherRealm esports scene and like a huge Mortal Kombat streamer and all that. So he was breaking down the trailer and I was watching him do that just so I was aware of what was happening in the trailer when I reacted to it. So, yeah. I did kind of cheat at that point. So it's exhausting acting like giant children and bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's exhausting acting like giant children and bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh, I know. It must just be so taxing on the poor politicians. That must be why they need like 5 2-week-long breaks in the year. 4 2-week-long breaks and then the summer break, which is like 3 months. So like they're in session like 6 months out of the year, and then they're on vacation for 6 months. Costin, hello. Welcome to the show, sir. So, like I said, Oh, and the eclipse was pretty interesting yesterday. It always makes me a little bit sad when things like that happen, because I really do, like, because I love astronomy and all things space. It makes me sad that I can't. Oh, excuse me. Makes me sad that I can't, like, look and see the really cool natural phenomena that are happening, like the total eclipse, the solar eclipse yesterday. But it was really cool to be around the kids, and because the library dropped off eclipse glasses, so the kids actually had eclipse glasses yesterday, which was awesome, and they were really excited. It was them and a couple of their other friends had some glasses, so they were out watching the eclipse happen, and it was really exciting to just be around them and hear how excited they were getting. And my boys were describing, what was happening, like what they could see. Like, I see the moon, it's almost all in front of the sun, and it was like they were so excited, and it was really cool to feel how drastically the temperature dropped in that short of a time frame, and then to hear like even the birds and everything start to make the nighttime noises. It was really interesting. Just a very fascinating, very fascinating just spectacle, and I really wish that I was able to actually see it, but it was a cool way of just experiencing it. And apparently something I didn't know until afterwards, but a couple of my blind friends had access to this I guess website where there was an audio format for the eclipse through like tones and clicks, the way that they do. If you've ever listened to the sounds of the planets on NASA's YouTube channel, I think it was a similar sort of concept where they recreated the wavelengths of light coming in as radio sound, like as radio frequencies. And I actually think I remember reading a news article a few years ago about a blind astrophysicist who developed this technology so that she could listen to star maps. So, but I didn't know that that there was like a website that was providing that audio feedback for the eclipse. Otherwise, I totally would have checked that out. But yeah, that was really cool. NASA was broadcasting, so it could have been the described video version of that. Maybe. That's true. But yeah, it was. I'm in a message group with a few other blind friends of mine, and they were talking about how they were listening to the eclipse, and I didn't even know that was a thing I could have done. So that was kind of interesting. So yeah, it was really cool. A very, very fun activity that we all did in the afternoon. Holy shit, I just did a cold open. Yay! I just did a cold open without even trying. Woohoo! Oh, I had to celebrate. I know I probably ruined it, but I had to celebrate. Okay. So getting into our videos, Rev has brought us something It's not about Sweet Baby or Stellar Blade this time. He is breaking down what happened to Johnny Sommelier. And I did hear Pinkalo listening to a video from somebody else a few days ago. I can't remember who it was, but I didn't catch all of what happened. But I think Johnny went to Israel. So, yeah, that's a thing. So let's see what Rev has to say to break down this this person's streaming nonsense.
Hey, what's up, guys? Rev here. So once again, we're going to be talking about the controversial kick streamer Johnny Sommelier, who is the definition of a nuisance streamer. Someone whose entire content revolves around doing IRL streams where they go around harassing random citizens for content.
I don't even know why this type of streaming is popular. This is going back to what I was saying yesterday about how it seems like the two generations underneath millennial, Zoomers and Alpha, have like zero frontal cortex capacity. They have zero cause and effect correlation. They have zero empathy. They have like any of this higher reasoning that humans are supposed to have. It's like these generations have de-evolved and have literally become apes that use technology. Like it's horrible to say, but it's the way that these people, the way that these generations act. It's like there's no higher cognitive functioning, and I don't understand what the fuck happened. It can't just be use of screens. It cannot just be that. It has to be something else. There's gotta be a combination of factors, whether it's too much imagery of a certain kind, too much coddling from their parents. I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's gotta be done as a sociological study on like a sociological and neurological and psychological study on the Generation Z and Generation Alpha. It's noticeable. I can't be the only one that sees this.
They're hoping to get reactions out of people, whether it's to annoy them, upset them, or even get them to fight them. It is all for content. Johnny Sommelier is the definition of F around and find out. And over the years, he has upped the risks of all of his public stunts, getting to a point where the consequences of effing around are getting a lot more serious. And that's what we're going to cover in this video.
And he doesn't even care. That's the thing about Johnny Sommelier. He doesn't even care about his consequences. He'll fuck around and find out and then just goes, ha, that was funny. Like, he just does not give a fuck.
Recently, Johnny Sommelier has gone to Israel, of all places, and in a recent clip filmed by himself, he would harass a female police officer, and it would backfire very, very poorly. Now,
don't fuck with the IDF. Just don't. Just don't do that.
Before we get into this recent
That's
clip,
a very
let's give a little
bad
history
idea.
of Johnny Sommelier. So he is someone, like I said, who's been a nuisance streamer for many years, but he got the most attention when he went to Japan, where he was doing many different streams, going around harassing random Japanese citizens, doing anything, whether it was racism or filming himself committing literal crimes to get the attention of people in the hope of making content that could go viral because it's pissing people off. And
he was literally on a train going, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And like, just, oh, we do it again. America, we do it again.
It's really shameful
it's
behavior.
Fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, Hiroshima? You know Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You know why you do this? Pearl Harbor? Hiroshima, Nagasaki.
What the
Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You know Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We're gonna do again. What? Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We do again.
Now, there's really nothing that's
do
off limits
again.
to Johnny Somali.
Wow.
He's overall just a creep.
That was the clip I was just talking about. That was the clip I was just mentioning, where he's on the train, just making a complete ass of himself for no reason. And like I said, these people do not give a fuck. They can get caught. They can get arrested. They can get put in jail. And they're just like, oh, that was scary. Oh, well.
He will do and say anything to produce content, whether it's harassing the elderly, harassing women, or even in some cases, harassing children.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm a minor too.
What the fuck?
You're what?
This I didn't hear about.
I'm a minor too.
You're what?
Same.
Ah, you're a minor. Seriously.
Yeah,
What
Johnny
the
Somali
fuck?
absolutely hates people who shares that clip because it's quite a terrible look for him. And yes, for people...
Yeah, because it makes him look really fucking creepy. What the fuck was that? And that good on that person for calling him out and just being like, seriously? Like, what the fuck? I don't even know what to say other than what the fuck. Like, I don't want to just sound like a mindless person here because that's not my thing. But this is just, I had never seen that clip before.
People in my audience wondering, he is an auntie as well who has claimed that anime fans are pedos and things like that.
Oh.
And yet he has made those statements to real life minors. But anyways, we know Johnny Somali will do anything for content, and he's also filmed himself committing crimes, doing things very antagonistically to people to get a response. And after a couple of months in Japan, he finally was getting the real responses he wanted, and that was Japanese citizens who were fed up and were actually physically fighting back against Johnny Somali, whether it was a couple of light kerfluffles like a slap or a choke. People started reacting that way to Johnny Somali because, let's face it, they were way too patient with him. The Japanese society is very patient with foreigners like him.
That's the thing. He totally took advantage of the way that Japanese culture is and society is towards tourists and just in general. He really took advantage of their politeness and their just the way they are. He totally took advantage of it.
And it took a lot for these people to start to crack and actually do something about him. And eventually we got this absolutely golden clip back in September. I can't show it because I can't show fighting and violence and blood on YouTube, but I will describe
there's
this
blood?
clip. So Johnny Somali here and his goon cameraman would approach and harass this individual who ironically is a foreigner as well. And with just 2 punches, this man would knock out Johnny Somali and his friend.
That's
and there
hilarious.
was nothing more satisfying than watching Johnny Somali's camera spin around to the ground and then show a bloodied and trembling Johnny Somali struggling to get back up on his feet after getting KO'd
amazing.
by this man.
Well described, Rev. As a blind person, I must say, well described. That presents quite the image. I'm very satisfied with that image. Quite well described, sir. Well done. Very well done. Very, very well done. Japan is also trying to get this "we don't like black people" stigma taken away from them too. Ah. Well, that's kind of difficult when you've got people pulling shit like this.
It was absolutely beautiful. And then afterwards, Kick would ban him. Just delightful, of course.
Yeah, and then he
Kick would
apologized.
That's just kind of how things go. Kick never really permanently bans anyone. But moving forward, eventually Johnny Somali would get arrested for a second time. This time another trespassing type event where he was doing an unauthorized kick stream in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And eventually he would be charged and then of course sentenced, because in Japan their conviction rate is about 99%. So if you are charged with a crime, you're likely going to be found guilty, and that's what Johnny Somali was found.
Yeah, in Japan, there's not really, you basically from charge to conviction. It's a pretty sure thing.
In this case, he was found guilty, forced to pay a fine, and most importantly, deported. Now, a lot of people said, no, they should have thrown the book and put him in jail or prison for 3 years, which I think having Japanese citizens have to use their taxpayer dollars to house Johnny Somali and give him 3 hots and a cot for a couple years would be a waste of their money. The best thing to do was to deport him, and that's what they did. However, Johnny Somali would quickly move on to a new place to annoy people.
He went to Bali,
so Johnny
right?
Somali and some of his friends would go to Thailand.
Or
and
Thailand,
they would find out pretty quickly that they're not as patient and as nice to annoying foreigners as they were in Japan. And
much different culture over there in Thailand. They don't give a fuck.
Very quickly, they found out that doing things like this, stealing food and trying not to pay
they
for
don't
it,
give
and
a
disrespecting
fuck
the
in
locals
Thailand.
would not go over very well, where they were approached by a lot of people who were not having it, and you can see, as his demeanor shows, he was instantly backing down and was afraid. However, Johnny Somali would find a new place to go, and that's Israel. Now, I don't know if you know what's going on in the world,
would you go to
Israel's
Israel?
probably not the best place to go if you are a nuisance streamer.
I don't know why you'd go to Israel anyway right now, like, at all. Other than if you're like a military personnel and you're trying to help people, I don't know why you'd go to Israel right now.
I think that is genuinely putting yourself at risk, and of course nobody feels sorry for Johnny Somali. In fact, most people are watching, waiting for something bad to happen.
They're
to
hate
him.
watching.
And you can see some of the
point.
annoying antics he was doing over the weeks, like this.
Relax, I'm a journalist. I am a journalist. Show me where the hidden tunnel's at.
You're not
the hidden tunnel's at.
Show me where the hidden tunnel's at.
Show me where the hidden tunnel's at.
I'm a journalist. No, you're not. You're not a journalist. Fucking, I'm closer to a journalist, and I still wouldn't even call myself a journalist. I'm a fucking reaction streamer and commentator. Fucking, I'm a journalist. Shut up. Shut up, dude.
He claims he's a journalist in this bit, which honestly, as annoying as he might be, maybe he is a journalist, because honestly, we've been dealing with journalists in the gaming scene recently, and they're just as annoying as Johnny Somali and just as narcissistic, so maybe that is the most appropriate thing he has labeled himself.
He could be a journalist.
Interesting. However, this is just more annoying stuff. He's trying to get attention and hoping something will happen that'll make for a good clip to go viral. Unfortunately, he would get just that, but with a different clip, where he is harassing a female police officer, and it'll backfire very quickly. So let's give this a watch.
Oh, yes, let's.
Oh, you a bad bitch. I swear to God. You a bad bitch. I'll take you to dinner. I swear.
Really? You're gonna, okay.
I swear to God, I'll change your life. I'll change your life, baby. Baby, I'll change your life. I promise you. You a bad bitch right here. I'll change your life, baby girl. You don't gotta work for these niggas no more. Bitch, I'll change your life.
Wow.
I'm in the sidewalk.
This was the moment. This was the moment any reasonable person would have walked away. You can.
No shit, but why would you? I hate, first of all, anybody that tells another person that they will change your life and I promise you I'll change your life. Oh, shut up. Nobody wants somebody that narcissistic. But like that whole I'll change your life, baby girl, you're a bad bitch. Like, how degrading and freaking demeaning is he trying to be here? To a freaking IDF. What IDF member? Why would you do that?
You can see things are escalating very quickly. He could have gotten away with this. He could have walked away. But no, Johnny Somali, in the pursuit of content, would continue to escalate this situation until we get.
Because he is the escalator.
I'm in the sidewalk.
Way to go!
What the fuck? Okay, now go. Relax. Relax. America. I'm in the sidewalk. I'm from America. What are you doing? Okay, Karen, no, I'm going, nigga. What the fuck? Stream it, film it. Okay. Oh, shit. What am I going to jail for? America. I'm from America.
America! I'm from America! Yeah, because people fucking give a shit. Sorry. This is another thing about Americans. They think they can just shout that they're American and everybody will leave them alone. Nope.
He's saying right there, I'm from America. Stop. I'm from America. We do not claim you, Johnny Somali. Do not use the name of America to try to save yourself, buddy. You did this to yourself. Now, hilariously, there's actually another angle of the Johnny Somali arrest here in Israel. It is absolutely hilarious. We have multiple POVs of Johnny Somali being not only taken away in first-person perspective, but also from a side perspective right here that made for the thumbnail of this video and a hilarious shot of Johnny Somali getting carried away like a little baby. Let's see this right
like
here.
a little child.
There he is, initially getting taken. And you can tell he's
carried away.
And eventually they just scoop him up.
Just scooped up and carried away like a baby. Come along, little baby. Off to bed you go.
That's embarrassing, dude.
Off to timeout.
That is embarrassing. But yeah, Johnny Somali.
You need to go to timeout. You have been a bad boy. You have been a bad boy, and it's time to go to the naughty stool. For context, those are IDF girls. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. These are Israeli Defense Force women. Don't talk to them like that. They will rip your balls off.
Around and finding out, okay? And of course, the next day, Johnny Somali would address the public after
I'm sure
they've seen his arrest. He wants to clear the air and make people know that he is not a creep in any sort of a way.
Oh, no.
Let's see this.
There's a lot of fake news, fake media narrative. They're trying to bury me like I'm Trump. They're saying that I was arrested last night.
They're trying to bury me like I'm Trump.
Do I look like someone who's sexually harassed anybody?
Yes.
Pause. This is not going to look good. So he said, do I look like a guy who would harass these women? This was a clip from literally the day before. Him interacting with a female here.
Bitch, don't touch me, bitch. Don't touch me, bitch. I'm from America, bitch. Don't touch me. I'm from America, bitch. Don't touch me. I'll slap that ass. I'll grab it too. Donald Trump told me grab it by the pussy. I'll grab that too. Stop playing with me, bitch. I'll grab it by the pussy right here, nigga. I don't give a fuck. I'm a different type of journalist. I'm a different type of journalist.
What the fuck, Johnny? Somebody needs to wash this little boy's mouth out with soap while he's sitting in jail. This is wow. Wow, that is quite some talk there.
There's a lot of
Yeah, there's really not much you have to say about that one. That is pretty much Johnny Somali in a nutshell. And he's lucky, honestly, that what happened with the actual confrontation with the law enforcement in Israel was all that happened, because he was really pushing the limits, and pushing the limits in a place that's not like Japan, where they have a lot more tolerance for someone like him. And
Israelis don't give...
They seem to be a lot less tolerant of what Johnny Somali... It's not the first clip, of Johnny Somali and his goons getting in trouble in Israel, and he is really pushing the envelope here. And you know what? As always, with anything that happens to Johnny Somali, absolutely nobody feels sorry for him.
Nope.
At all, okay? And I know he's trying to attack people that are making videos about him, but it's inevitable. It's a part of the content cycle. Everyone knows Johnny Somali
That's the
exists
best part.
to be the example of effing around and finding out. And people...
That's the best part. He attacks people for making videos about him, and then people make more videos about him, documenting the attacks. It's great. And he doesn't understand.
People don't care.
The more he does stupid shit for his content, the more we'll laugh at him for hours.
About the effing around. They care about the finding out. People are most interested in the finding out. And it's seeing Johnny Somali get what he deserves when he's acting like a jerk in public places. And I will guarantee this is not the last time we're going to see this happen.
Oh,
but
no.
of course,
Not
the
by
stakes
a
are being
long
raised
shot.
higher and higher. He's trying to entertain people. And eventually, just like any other form of entertainment, you got to keep upping the ante and making it go bigger and bigger and bigger. And with this case, the consequences are getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Something tells me he's gonna get himself killed, and it's gonna be live. And I don't know what's gonna happen, but something bad is gonna happen to him.
We're going to see some more finding out, I'm sure. But for now, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. And I'll see you guys next time.
So that's the thing about the internet and nuisance streamers, is that eventually one of them is going to do something that's going to get them killed, and it's going to get them killed while they're live. And the internet is not like the TV, right? There are certain sites that will censor it, right? And have it pulled down off of their platform, but not all of those sites will have it pulled down, and that video will go everywhere, right? And that will be huge, and people will cover it from every angle and analyze it, and the people with common sense will be like, well, that's what happens when you go to dangerous places and piss people off. But I mean, but there will be a lot of people that will be like, streaming is bad. It will get you killed. Think of the children. I guarantee you, it'll come down to think of the children. I swear to God, some nuisance streamer's gonna get himself killed, and then all streaming will be dangerous, and it will kill you. And think of the children. We shouldn't have so much streaming. And I'm telling you this right now. This is my prediction. It's gonna be the nuisance streamers that fucking ruin streaming for everybody. Ugh, it's gonna be like, and it's gonna be a bad one. It's gonna be a bad ruining. You think the adpocalypse was bad? No, this is gonna be, I don't know what it's gonna look like, but it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be very, very bad. Speaking of very, very bad and chaotic, I read Jurassic Park recently, and it was really, really good. I got the Audible book last weekend, and I read through it in the weekend. And luckily, it was narrated by one of my favorite narrators. And I was gonna do a video on it, but everybody and their dog has done a book review of Jurassic Park. So, I just figured I would just quickly talk about it on stream. And I really, comparing it to the movie is nothing, you can't. And I really feel like I really feel like Steven Spielberg wanted to make this a franchisable thing from the get-go, and honestly, I feel like he kind of went a little John Hammond with it, because he made, if they had stuck more to the book and killed off the people that the book had killed off, and focused more on different plot points, like the raptors escaping the island, for example, and just made it a really good science fiction movie for the first, and tried to not make it so much for kids. If it had been a rated R movie, that could have been a great science fiction book or a science fiction movie, I think. But Steven Spielberg really just kind of franchised it all, and made sure that Wu didn't get killed off like he did in the book, and made sure that Hammond didn't get killed off the way he did in the book, and made Hammond this like benevolent old man who kind of had a "what did I do" moment near in the end of the second one. Like, it just, I really wish that they had just made this a really good one-time science fiction film, because Michael Crichton did a really good job of that science fiction morality lesson of, cloning and genetic testing and research can be awesome and very, very helpful and life-saving, but we need to regulate it. We need to have some sort of way to rein it in, because otherwise what can happen can be absolutely chaotic. And it was a really well done balance between fiction and science, and it was fascinating to read. The difference, and the more scientific reasoning behind the behavior of the dinosaurs, right down to the fact that all of the dinosaurs couldn't see movement because of the amphibian DNA that they had been coated with, because amphibian eyesight is more based on movement than not. So I just found that just a fascinating book. Super well written. Super well balanced in the science and the fiction aspects, and like amazingly descriptive. Like not too wordy, not too long-winded, just the perfect amount of imagery. And it was great because like some books, like I find Stephen King, and I curse like a sailor, right? But I find Stephen King likes to just curse in his books. He just likes to write curse words just to do it, I think. And Michael Crichton is kind of the opposite. There's very little cursing in Jurassic Park. I don't think there's one F-bomb in Jurassic Park. There's a few shits, there's a son of a bitch, stuff like that, but there's no like motherfucker or fuck you or any of that. Like it doesn't need it. It doesn't need any of that vulgarity, because it's just written. It's the way it's written. It's just fine without it. It wouldn't add to it, actually. It would take it away. And the little cursing that's there adds to the urgency, to like, it adds kind of urgency to the scene, if you know what I mean. And I really appreciate it. It was just, it's a good, well-written book, and I'm glad that I read it. And it's even better that it was narrated by Scott Brick, which is, again, one of my favorite narrators. So, if you have Audible, I would highly recommend that you get that the Jurassic Park narrated by Scott Brick, because he does a great job. All right, we're gonna jump into our second short video. before we go into question period, because that's going to take up most of the stream today, because they have 45 minutes of question period is what they're supposed to do, but it's 25 minutes into the 1 hour 16 minute video, so it's gonna be big. So Ermac's trailer dropped today, and I am super excited. At least it was vulgarity. Let's see. So what was I saying? Right, the Ermac trailer. And I did watch somebody streaming on Twitch, as I said, to kind of get an idea of what was happening. But I haven't listened to it with headphones. I haven't listened to it in detail. So this is my first full reaction of this trailer. So let's take a listen. All right. What a slow day. I've got an air and a Laura and a list. That's it? Jesus. That's crazy. Ooh. I like the sound effect.
You have shamed the souls of your ancestors.
Okay, his voice is cool as fuck.
Which of my ungrateful kin are within you?
Okay, I like that dialogue between him and General Shao. That's funny. Okay. So the cameo we're getting with him is Movado, and Movado is another 3D era character.
Fight.
Whoa, what? Okay, hold on.
Fight.
Did he just float at him? What the? Okay, he's got a teleport, I think. That's what that sounded like. Yep. What the fuck? Holy shit! Okay, this is gonna be hard to master. Ooh, that's an interesting grappling hook type of thing from Movado. That's interesting. That little shing you heard, that was like a grappling hook thing.
You might be many, but I am the one.
Fuck you,
Not
Kung Lao.
even Earthrealm's champion.
Haha! We called you out, Kung Lao. Holy shit! Is that a grab? That is a grab. That's gonna be tricky. That doesn't even make a sound. Barely makes a sound. That's his back throw. Wait, was that a back throw or was that a forward throw? That was forward throw. What? Was that a juggle? It was. What the fuck?
You've changed since we first met.
We believe for the better.
Oh shit. I like that. These are good these are good lines. What the? Dude, he's floating. What the fuck was that? He just went back and forth across the screen. What the fuck was that move? Just did it again. Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna have to look at Ermac. Cause he looks so fun. Holy, okay, fatal blow. Oh my god. Finish him. Fatality, here we go. Oh god. Jesus Christ.
Fatality. Ermac wins.
There's Movato's fatal. Jesus.
Flawless victory.
That is so cool. That is so cool. April 16th is when Ermac shows up. So next week. Next Tuesday? I think? I'm pretty sure it's next Tuesday? Saturday's the 13th. No, next Wednesday. That's when Ermac comes. That looks so... He sounds like he will be very complicated, but very fun to use. And honestly, I cannot wait to watch Rip's Arena, because every time a new character comes out, Rip's Arena does an all that character tournament the day of. So that character will drop, and then people will get like, I don't know, an hour or two in the lab to figure out that character. Last time it was Peacemaker. And then Rip's Arena will start their tournament, and it will be a top 8 of, and you're only allowed to play the new DLC. You can pick whatever cameo you want, but you can only play that DLC character. And then when a cameo drops, they do the same thing. They'll pull out a tournament and they'll say, okay, you can pick whatever main fighter you want, but you can only play the new cameo that just dropped. So, like, what was it? Last week, when Janet Cage came out, they did a top 8 where it was just, you can only use Janet Cage cameo with your character. So I cannot wait for next Wednesday's Rips Arena stream to see what people can come up with the Ermac, because oh my god, like the floats, the teleports, just, and then with Movato with the grappling hooks and everything, it just looks crazy. I'm excited. I'm very excited for this DLC character to come out. Then the next one will be Homelander, and then we'll have Takeda after that. But I think Ermac is probably the one character that everybody is really excited for, I think. I think especially in the actual MK fan base, but I think this character and what it can do, plus Movado and all the things he can do, will probably breathe some life back into this game. And here's hoping that they'll bring King of the Hill crossplay in a coming patch, because that would be awesome. Right now it's just for ranked mode, casual mode, and private matches. You can't do like a group crossplay session, which sucks. But hopefully they did say that they're trying to implement that, and I do hope that it is sooner than later, because that would definitely breathe some life back into the game. So but I'm really excited for this new DLC to drop. It's gonna be a great time. All right. So we've switched over to our question period, and this is going to take us till the end of the stream. And we've just welcomed Jamil Javani into the House of Commons. And he's the new Conservative MP for Durham Region. And that's what they just did before the question period starts. So that's why everyone's all happy and yay and clapping. So here we are with our start of question period.
So every day could be like this. Oral questions, question orale.
When the Conservatives, the common sense Conservatives, want to build
not
homes,
you again.
cut taxes, fix the budget, and stop crime, the Prime Minister is not worth the cost after
I don't
8
like
years
you.
of inflation. And about
You're
inflation,
a terrible translator.
we have a pyromaniac who is fanning the flames of inflationary fires with oil instead of water we want to bring. Can the Prime Minister recognize, with all of this billions in spending, it's getting hot and expensive for taxpayers?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Oh, fuck off. Really? The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives, if they want to talk about the economy, we'll be happy to do so. With 2 million Canadians more, we've lifted 3 million Canadians out of poverty since we came to power, and we will continue
Fire
to
this
invest in
bitch.
Canadians
She is terrible.
rather than cutting programs such as what the Conservatives would do. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition, the Conservatives want to fix the budget to reduce inflation and interest rates, but the Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Mortgages, according to the lead economist of Scotiabank, inflationary deficits from this Prime Minister are driving up interest rates by 2% and preventing the Bank of Canada from reducing them. Canadians may lose their homes because of these big announcements with billions of dollars in inflationary spending. Can the Prime Minister recognize that his spending and mortgage rates are not worth the cost? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Why is the Minister of Natural Resources answering this question? Where are Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau? Why are they not
here? We're going to invest in Canadians, and that is why we're going to help every generation to move forward by building more homes faster. And
yes, more prefab cardboard homes that will catch on fire and spread to the next house. Good.
Does not believe that
I can't understand this. What this is? I lied about understanding French, and I don't know what I'm doing. Listen to that frustrated sigh.
Does not believe that everyone deserves a fair chance. We want to put fairness first.
Well, we do have a common sense conservative plan.
I've just heard Scotiabank is not following the new rules that have been put into place, but I was also being told that by an RBC person. In what way is this translator terrible? First of all, she sounds like a robot. Second of all, I can tell that she's, you can tell that she's trying to understand, like, her ability to understand and then verbalize what she's understanding at the pace that is needed is not there yet. She's not on the ball. She's trying to, like, she's behind and she's getting stressed out and she's awful.
Plan to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. While this prime minister is not worth the cost after 8 years on inflation, with all his multi-billion-dollar announcements, he is like the pyromaniac pretending to be a fireman, except the hose is spraying gas on the inflationary fire rather than water. According to the Scotiabank's chief economist, these inflationary deficits are driving up mortgage payments. Doesn't he realize that all of his spending is putting the heat and the costs on our homeowners?
The Honourable Minister.
So that's much different than what she said in French, and translating from French to English, there are words, like, she could have definitely translated that a lot better than what she did. I guarantee you, Polyev said exactly in French what he just said in English, and there are words for that. There were no colloquialisms. There were no, like, any of that stuff. Yeah. Apparently you're supposed to get all that money back. All which money back?
Of Natural Resources.
The money you
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
overpaid?
This government has a plan for an affordable and prosperous future. We have a
Where?
plan that is focused on ensuring that we are building more homes faster, making life more affordable, and growing an economy that works for all Canadians. The Conservative leader has no plan for affordability other than a bunch of taglines. He has no plan for addressing the environment. He has no plan for the economy. We believe in ensuring that Canadians have a fair chance to succeed, and we are
A fair chance to succeed. Really? Where's that happening?
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, our plan is to axe the tax and cap the spending to bring down inflation and interest rates. We will have a carbon tax election, and people will choose whether they want to quadruple the tax to 61 cents with the NDP and the Prime Minister, or axe the tax under my common sense leadership. And in the meantime, people can't afford to eat. So will the Prime Minister show a little bit of compassion and accept my common sense demand to axe the tax on farmers and food?
No.
Minister of Housing.
Mr. Speaker, it is laughable when I hear the Conservative leader talk about affordability. He mentioned in a previous question some concerns he has around housing policy. His plan to build more homes is to cut investments in home building, is to raise taxes on those who are building homes, and when it comes to actually changing the way cities build homes, his deputy leader held a press conference to explicitly declare that Conservatives were siding with the NIMBYs when it comes to zoning reform.
Where did any of that happen? What do you mean he doesn't want to invest in home build? He has specifically said we'll build more homes. How is
You're going to do what's necessary.
What are you talking about?
To build more affordable housing, create market conditions to get more homes built, and change the way that cities build homes so we can solve the housing crisis.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
He caused the housing crisis, Mr. Speaker. Under his role as housing minister, the amount of a paycheck necessary to make payments on an average mortgage is gone up to a record smashing 64% from 38%.
Jesus
and
Christ.
he's the only one, along with his prime minister, that wants to raise taxes on home building. A massive carbon tax on the building materials that go into assembling those homes. So, will the Prime Minister, instead of hiking the tax, accept my common sense demand to axe the tax on farmers' food and houses at the same time?
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing.
No.
Mr. Speaker, it's interesting because he's actually put his plan on the record, and his plan includes putting the GST back on apartment construction for hundreds of thousands of middle-class homes in this country.
Yeah, because it's the developers that are gonna pay it, not the fucking renters, you
he has
idiot.
one of the worst records in the past decade of anyone when it comes to getting homes built when he had the position responsible for housing in Parliament. Mr. Speaker, while he was minister, they built exactly 0 new apartments, 0 cooperative units, and only 6
Yeah, because nobody wants to live in a co-op unit, and we need to stop building apartments and start building more houses. We need to get mortgage rates down so people can afford to buy houses. We need to get people out of the rental market.
Entire country. We are helping get hundreds of thousands of homes built in this country, and we will do what it takes to solve the crisis once and for all.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. After pharmacare, dental care, and MAID, you'd think we'd seen the last of federal interference in Quebec's jurisdiction. No. The Liberals have announced
you,
that
Frenchie.
They also want to tell Quebecers how
Nobody
to
cares
build
about
housing.
Quebec.
This is the same government that lost control of immigration, created Arrive scam, which is unable to pay its own employees through Phoenix, that created a monumental passport crisis, and it's unable to manage its own borders.
How come
Imagine
nobody's
this same
bringing up
government
Phoenix
wants
anymore?
To lecture the provinces and Quebec. Are they not at least a little embarrassed? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, investing in housing in Quebec, is the Bloc against this? Investing in our daycares, is the Bloc against this?
What investing in daycares? How is $10 a day daycare investing in daycares?
Making sure that our young Quebecers go to school with full tummies? Is the Bloc against this? If that's the case, may they do like the Conservatives. Bloc Conservatives seem to be on the same side. It's the Bloc Conservative Party. The Honourable Member for La Prairie.
Oh shit. Oh shit. Are we starting to see the fracture, guys? Are we starting to see it?
Chapman and Pinkalo, the driving moderator. That's a weird straight up lie because I know for a fact during the Harper administration new buildings were built. What?
That's a weird straight up lie because I know for a fact during the Harper administration new buildings were built. Yep. Also, we had a surplus of housing when Harper was in, so we didn't need to build more buildings. Yeah, but you're making sense again, honey. The Liberals using the concept of, well, this is how it is. So this is how it always was, and this is how it always will be. Yep. That's what the Liberals are. Que sera, sera.
The Prime Minister has the gall to add that if the provinces don't want to bend to his conditions, they don't have to take federal money. Do you know what we call that, Mr. Speaker?
Extortion.
We call that blackmail. And not with federal money. There is no federal money. It's Quebecers' money. This government, incapable of doing its own job...
It's only Quebecers' money? No, you asshole! It's Canadians' money, and you're Canadian. Shut the oh, you separatist piece of shit.
Has no legitimacy to deny Quebecers their share of the money they pay in taxes. The Prime Minister cannot take the money of Quebecers hostage. He needs to stop playing political games. The Honourable Minister, the Bloc is not the government of Quebec. We're just in discussions with the Quebec government, and in fact, a Quebec minister said this week that they are convinced that they can find agreements that will be win-win.
That's like the kidnapper yelling at the family of the kidnapped person going, "You're not the kidnapped person. They just said everything was fine. They told me you could get the ransom money. They said that everything would be fine and they were cool with us kidnapping them and taking them for ransom. They said it was fine. What are you talking about? How dare you be outraged that we're kidnapping them and holding them for ransom? Why are you telling me that it's not okay? They said it was fine. Damn it." Seriously, our house that I just paid $300,000 fucking dollars for back in the Harper administration was $90,000. Yeah, that's true. This house would have been probably, yeah, you're right.
Mr. Speaker, that's what the Quebec government thinks, and that's what we think. It's win for Quebec and a win for Quebecers. It's just not a win for the Bloc. Once again,
That's like after the kidnapped victim's been let go and they have Stockholm syndrome and the kidnappers are like, no, they want to be around me. I didn't kidnap them. See, they like me now.
Doing the same thing as their friends, their Conservative colleagues, and it's the same thing today. It's the Conservative Bloc together. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Oh, here we go. What are you going to whine about now, Singh?
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
How much money the Conservatives gave away to big corporations when they were in power? $60 billion in free money. Now, imagine what we could...
Receipts, please. I don't hear any papers. Where are your receipts?
We could have done with $60 billion. Instead of giving them to corporate handouts, we could have built 1 million affordable homes. Now
You think you could have only built... Wait. You only think you could have built 1 million homes for $60 billion? How big of a house are you planning on building? $60 billion would build way more than 1 million homes. I don't think you know how to math. Like, it takes... Like, do you think it takes... How much does he think it takes to build a house? Like, how much money does he think it costs to build one house if he thinks that you could have only built 1 million homes with $60 billion?
Liberals love to criticize the Conservatives, but they maintain those same corporate handouts. So my question to the Liberals, will they stop the free ride for CEOs? Will they stop the $60 billion in conservative corporate handouts and start investing to build homes that people
I don't even know what I'm saying.
Answer call, but...
Hello? Okay. 9. 6. $1 billion.
Times that by 60.
Okay, yeah, that's why. Math still doesn't.
No, the math doesn't work either fucking way. But yeah, I figured I needed to help you out. You needed to look at it that way. Okay. So he's thinking it costs under $100,000 to build a home.
Yeah.
Talking about 400 square foot houses. He's talking about going back between 400 and 600 square foot houses, basically a one-bedroom apartment on the ground. California homes that are modular, built in a factory, don't have a basement, just slapped on a concrete pad.
No, thank you.
That's the equivalent of what they're doing. Okay. Love you, bye.
Love you, bye. Okay, let's see here.
Can afford. The Honourable Minister, Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, the Honourable Member, for the question. Fairness is extremely important for Canadians.
Is it? Yeah, for Canadians, not for you.
Socially just, that is prosperous, and that is environmentally sustainable. Our budget is going to focus on extremely important for Canadians. It is important that we are building a society that is socially just, that is prosperous, and that is environmentally sustainable.
How about that is prosperous first, then socially just, then environmentally sustainable? How about that? How about we get our priorities straight?
Our budget is going to focus on building more homes faster, making more life more affordable for Canadians, and growing an economy for the future. We are very proud of the work that we are doing. We are certainly ensuring that fairness informs everything that we do.
Sure you are.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
Had nothing to say about the conservative corporate handouts that they maintained.
The last time the Conservatives were in power, big business got a big handout. A blank check for $60 billion. A gift that
again,
the Liberals
where's
kept
your
up.
proof?
This money could have been used to build millions of affordable housing units. This is the
Oh, now it's millions. Not just a 1 million, it's multiple millions. Okay, cool.
Of voting Conservative. Will the Prime Minister commit today to reversing the Conservative $60 billion handout to big business? Yes or no?
Yes.
The Honourable Minister.
What? Again, where are the receipts? Where is your proof of this $60 billion? They want buildings and complexes that have 10,000 units per. Jesus, no thanks. If you realize the way that these people are building apartment buildings and condos and shit right now, they want Mega City 1. No. And again, is he blaming the Harper government again for what the bullshit they caused? Yes.
Sir. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague for his question. It's really important to invest and to build a lot of houses quicker and more affordably.
It's necessary to ensure that we can solve the housing crisis. We are working at the same time to help grow the economy as we put money on the table, as we announced this week, to create an acquisition fund for nonprofits who are going to maintain affordability permanently.
How the fuck? Where's all this money coming from? These acquisition funds.
It's on top of the Affordable Housing Fund, which is investing billions of dollars to put a roof over the head of the most vulnerable. Mr. Speaker, we will do what it takes to make sure everyone in this country has a safe and affordable place to call home.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Forest.
As long as it's a pod.
The woke Prime Minister hiked his carbon tax scam 23%, despite a majority of Canadians making him spike the hike. As we see record-smashing food bank usage across the country, farmers will pay another $1 billion into this scam, making the cost of groceries even more expensive. After 8 years, this Liberal NDP government is not worth the cost or corruption. Will he finally axe the tax for farmers and food and pass Bill C-234 in its original form in next week's budget, or is his agenda to push even more families into the food banks?
Oh yeah, that's right, next week the budget is also on Wednesday. Oh, Wednesday's a big day. Wednesday is a very big day. We've got the budget and we've got Ermac dropping.
The Honourable Minister of Employment and Workforce Development.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to know if members of the Conservative Party who come from Alberta have paid particular attention to what Premier Danielle Smith said about the Canada carbon rebate when she said she manages the finances of her own house, and it turns out that the Canada carbon rebate gives her family more money than she puts in the price on pollution. And guess what? She lives in rural Alberta, so she gets even more, Mr. Speaker. That's the plan. I don't know what the heck they're talking about.
I doubt that Danielle Smith said that. But okay, sure.
The honourable member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
What we'd like to know is what his next job is, because after the next election...
And that was with a shitty-ass low-grade contractor. What? I'm laughing at these numbers that Singh is throwing out because remember, Tyler just did both his bathrooms and it cost close to $30,000 and that was from a shitty low-grade contractor. Yeah, 30 grand for 2 bathrooms, but yet you could build millions of homes for $60 billion. Okay.
Now there's 6 premiers that are demanding a carbon tax meeting because they all know after 8 years this NDP government are like this carbon tax scam and not worth the cost. Why is this Prime Minister hiding? Why doesn't he show some guts, call this meeting so the premiers can tell him to shove his carbon tax where his poll numbers are, in the gutter?
Oh, that's not where I thought he was going. That is not where I thought he was going at all. He kept it parliamentary.
I know we've been away for a couple weeks and we're looking forward to seeing each other, but try to keep our comments as
oh, come on!
The Honourable Minister of
He kept it parliamentary.
Employment and Workforce Development.
Mr. Speaker, it's nice to see how focused that particular MP is on me and my career. Guess what? My colleagues on this side of the aisle and me, we are focused on the people of Edmonton Centre. We're focused on Albertans. We're focused on Canadians, making sure they can pay their bills, making sure they have good jobs, making sure that we're fighting climate change, having a national school program. What they're doing is just bluff and bluster and lots of hot air. We're going to be here fighting for Canadians each and every day.
Bluff, bluster, and hot air. You seem to be the definition of all 3 of those things, Minister. Holy shit. Oh, seriously, they think they're rattling cages with these... This is crazy. Why did he just turn into a rabbit chihuahua? I don't know.
It's great seeing all of you guys too. This is awesome. The Honourable Member for Haldimand, Norfolk.
After 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, cost of living is out of control. Farmers are suffering and food has become unaffordable because of the carbon tax. Almost 2 million Canadians are going to the food bank every single month. Yet on April 1st, the Liberal NDP government increased the carbon tax by 23%. Will this Prime Minister stop punishing Canadians and farmers and pass Bill 234 in its original form?
That's a negative, Ghost Rider.
Natural Resources. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I do think that it's time that the Conservative Party stop trying to mislead Canadians. The price on pollution is an effective mechanism for reducing carbon emissions, and 8 out of 10
We don't care about that. We want to be able to buy our groceries without going broke.
The most effective way to reduce emissions that ensures we address affordability. And in fact, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe last week said he explored alternatives to carbon price, but he found they were too expensive. Well, my goodness, we've been saying that for years.
Jesus Christ. All the Liberals, why are they like... They're all on crack. I swear, they're like... It's like somebody spiked the Liberals' coffee with meth this morning. What the fuck?
Canadians can't afford to live because of the carbon tax. Common sense Conservatives will axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, and stop the crime. After 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, rent and mortgages have doubled. The Liberal NDP government is just not worth the cost or the corruption. Will this Prime Minister commit to immediately passing Bill 234 in its original form, cancel the carbon tax, and once again make life affordable for Canadians?
Simple question.
This is the fundamental problem with this remade Conservative Party, where policy is based on ideology and ignores all of the facts.
I'm sorry, did he just say that with a straight face? I need to hear that again.
Minister of Natural Resources.
This is the fundamental problem with this remade Conservative Party, where policy is based on ideology and ignores all of the facts.
He did say it with a straight face. Holy shit. Holy shit, these people actually believe that the conservatives are the ideologues. They actually think that wanting to lower the carbon tax and getting food costs down is ideological. Is that Rhoda? I don't know. Wait, Bill 234 in its original form? Do you mean the bill that recommends Hamas is not a terrorist organization? I don't think that's the same bill. Bill C-234 is, I know which bill you're talking about. I think that's a different bill, though.
200 economists from across this country underline that the price on pollution enhances affordability for those on modest incomes and addresses climate change in an effective manner.
On those on modest incomes? Modest income. Is that what you're calling people who are below the poverty line now? Those on modest incomes. Oh, fuck off.
These folks sit on their hands, these climate-denying conservatives. It is time they listen to people who actually know what they're talking about and abandon their plan to simply let the planet burn. Oh, shame.
You know, speaking of Jurassic Park, before he died in the book, Ian Malcolm went on this rant about how people like John Hammond think that man is capable of destroying the planet, and how arrogant and just stupid that is. And it reminds me of this reminds me of that very strongly. Listening to this rabble about they only want to watch the planet burn. It's like that's the only way that's gonna happen is if we have another Permian event or a giant asteroid strike.
Mr. Speaker, I was in Trois-Rivières last week, where the housing vacancy rate is 0.4%. Yet a new CMHC report shows that construction will drop drastically over the next year. As a result, CMHC predicts that demand will drive up housing prices, but it doesn't make sense. Does the Prime Minister realize that people will end up in the streets because of his insane policies? The Honourable Minister.
And he doesn't care.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague is right to raise the issue of costs and affordability of housing, particularly in Quebec. And that's why it's so surprising that the Conservatives are against investment that we're making for affordable housing, including social housing in Quebec.
They're against fucking co-op units and pod houses. They want people to have their own property.
First, they perhaps noticed a few weeks ago, we announced that we'll be reaching objectives for affordable housing construction. And secondly, they still haven't apologized, to the best of my knowledge, for the accusations, the insults they made with respect to Quebec members of Parliament, including those locally.
What insults? What insults are you referring? Because all I've heard are insults from the Liberal side towards the Bloc.
The Honourable Member for Charbonneau-Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, what we saw over the past week are only photo ops, because current programs that are being announced as new have been in place since 2017, and since then, nothing has almost been done with these programs. So once again, photo ops, they don't work. What we're seeing now is that For 8 years now, there's been out-of-control spending. Will the Prime Minister finally listen to the head of the Bank of Canada and stop his uncontrolled spending that do nothing but drive up interest rates?
Nah, the leader of the Bank of Canada, he's just there as a figurehead.
Minister. Mr. Speaker, if my colleague is looking for photo ops, I would ask him to come with me to visit a project in his riding, the Monte Rosso. We haven't seen him for the past few weeks since project was announced. Ms. Marchand was there a few weeks ago, and they seem to have forget in his own riding. Hundreds of housing units were built rather than the
what kind of housing units?
6 units that his
were they modular
built when they
bullshit prefab co-op housing
the
units?
Member for Longueuil Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker, if Ottawa wanted to accelerate housing construction in Quebec, they would pay Quebec the housing money. We're ready. We have our own standing programs. We're the only ones in Canada. Simply announcing unconditional transfers would suffice, but no.
Wait, you're not the only ones in Canada with your own housing program. What the fuck are you talking about? Ontario just announced its own fucking... Oh, okay, shut up, Quebec.
Liberals
you
are
don't
threatening
know
to
what you're talking
deprive
about.
Quebec of this funding if it refuses their conditions, and we're announcing a dispute
They
with the
did
federal
the
government
same thing to
until 2025.
Ontario, dude.
We have a housing crisis. People want
You're
funding,
not the
bickering.
only one.
Why not just pay Quebec its share without strings so we can do the work now, not in 2025? The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing. Mr. Speaker, like my colleague is looking for disputes, we're looking for a solution.
They're looking for disputes by wanting their transfer payment? Really? That's okay. I didn't realize that looking for the transfer payment
Accelerator
was
Fund.
looking for
There
conflict.
are discussions underway. We have reached an agreement for several billions to build affordable housing for all provinces. So we're going to continue to make the necessary investment to address future housing in Quebec and across the country. The Honourable Member for Longueuil Saint-Hubert. It's not just a Quebec question of jurisdiction, because when the government gets involved, it takes longer. It's true. Quebecers want the government to work together, but the federal government is not doing it. The Liberals have said it themselves. They want to...
Because the federal government just goes, we have the money to transfer you. You better play ball or you're not getting your money. They do this to not just Quebec. They do it to Ontario. They do it to Saskatchewan. I hate how Quebec is like, we're the only ones that get screwed. No, you're not.
Squabble until January 2025 to impose their conditions. Who does this help today? Who does it help to know that there'll be no construction starts in 2025 because the federal government is not working as a team? The Honourable Minister of Transportation. Mr. Speaker, my colleague is talking about squabbles, but they are the undisputed champions of these squabbles.
I'm sorry, they're not wrong. You're the Bloc Québécois. You're the separatist party. You are the champion of squabbles.
They seem to take inspiration from them. That's their whole lives. It's the raison d'etre to bring these to Ottawa.
So, for the Americans watching now or later, a transfer payment is... So basically, the way things are run here are the provinces take care of things like healthcare, housing, transportation, things like that, right? And our provincial taxes and property taxes generate things like that for municipally and provincially. However, in order for things to run smoothly and in order to get extra funding to make sure that the programs are bolstered, it's the federal government's job to give what's called a transfer payment to the provinces. And these transfer payments are generally earmarked for, here's $1 billion for healthcare. Here's like $100 million to help top up your highway construction fund. Stuff like that. That's what a transfer payment is supposed to be for. And what the Liberals have been doing is setting targets for the provinces to meet in, say, housing, for example. And then they are saying that the provinces aren't meeting these targets, and therefore they will not give them their funding allocated for housing. Meanwhile, in Ontario, for example, what is going on is not only are new homes being built, but an effort to repair and restore older homes is also going underway. And because these older homes are being repaired and restored, the federal government is not counting them as new affordable units because they aren't being built from the ground up. So now they're saying that Ontario isn't meeting its affordable housing target. And now, and they're also doing this to Quebec. They're threatening to withhold their transfer payment for housing because they're supposedly not meeting their targets. Meanwhile, they are, because they are not only building houses from scratch, they're restoring older homes that aren't bad enough to be condemned and torn down, but definitely need renovation and to be brought to code. And there's no reason to waste homes that are not derelict, but just need a little bit of love and care and brought back up into code. And then there's no reason for those not to be used as affordable units. So that's what a transfer payment is.
And as I've said, Mr. Speaker, we're investing in housing, unlike the Conservatives, and they are going to vote with the Conservatives, though. We don't want children to go to school hungry, but they're going to vote against that.
Yeah, you know what would help children not going to school hungry? Getting rid of the carbon tax, so that when parents filled their houses with food, they could, actually stretch $150 for an entire 7 days worth of food instead of 3. Wouldn't that be amazing? I think that would be amazing. Instead of doing some stupid federal funded national food program for school, I think we should make it so that parents can actually utilize their paychecks more efficiently and put more food in their fridge and their cupboard.
That's the
but
new
I'm
Bloc
just
Conservative
insane.
Alliance. The Honourable Member for Longueuil Saint-Hubert. Mr. Speaker.
There are 3 or 4 office buildings that are currently being converted into apartment buildings in Kitchener. Yeah, that's another thing that the Conservatives have a plan to do. The Liberals like to say that the Conservatives don't have any housing plans. One of their plans is to sell, something like 100 empty government office buildings and have them repurposed into apartments for homeless people. But the Conservatives don't have any plans.
We are lacking 5.8 million units by 2030, and the Liberals still find time to squabble instead of taking action. If their priority was to accelerate housing, they would give the money to Quebec. Are they trying to accelerate?
I saw a video of the kids in Toronto getting this national school program. They were given yogurt tubes. That's it? A fucking yogurt tube? That's it? A yogurt tube and a clementine. Oh, wow. All sorts of acidic stuff in your tummy first thing in the morning. Fructose and citric acid for your tummy first thing in the morning without any toast or anything to absorb it. Lovely.
Rate housing or slow their slide in the polls. The new Liberal housing announcements are taking hostage Quebecers who are struggling to find housing with their own money for electoral purposes. In the midst of a housing crisis, is this putting priorities in the right place? The Honourable Minister of Transportation. Mr. Speaker, once again, we are in discussions with the government of the Quebec, but the Bloc is not speaking on behalf of the Quebec government. actually are campaigning against the current government, against the Parti Québécois. And in the meantime, we are reaching agreements with Quebec on housing, on daycare, on regional internet access, on many measures.
Yeah,
Mr.
you're
Speaker.
strong-arming
It's
Quebec
good for all
into
Quebecers.
agreements. That's what you're
and
doing.
When it's good for Quebecers, it's bad for the Bloc Québécois.
The honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Mr. Speaker, it's shocking that the average Canadian family must now spend 63.5% of their total pre-tax household income in order to afford a mortgage for a typical home in Canada.
It is.
Now, it's even
You're
way
right.
worse in British Columbia, where that's 106%. 100% is someone's entire income. No wonder families are in a financial crisis where they can barely afford to live or feed themselves. And this is after 8 years of this NDP Liberal government. Will the Prime Minister actually build the homes, not bureaucracy and photo ops, in his budget?
No, because he likes his photo ops. Because he's Trudeau.
I take the question with a heavy dose of irony, considering that we've invested $31.5 million through the Housing Accelerator Fund in that member's constituency. Moreover, Mr. Speaker, this is a fund that
Just wait, they'll be giving bear paws for lunch. Yep.
Parliament vows to take apart should they form government, where they will cut funds for housing. We will make the investment.
Where did they say they would cut funds for housing? They said that they would not allow foreign investment. If that's what you mean by cutting funds for housing.
We'll put them back on. We are doing what it takes to make it easier to build homes faster, and we're going to put Canadians to work in the process.
Well, member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Well, Mr. Speaker, a heavy dose of reality is after 8 years of this Liberal NDP government and all of their spending and photo ops, things are worse. And just today, RBC confirmed that Canada's housing crisis is only going to get worse under Liberal policies. They said only 26% of Canadian households can afford a single detached home today. Now, a couple decades ago, that was 49%. The CMHC
Holy shit! 49% fell to 26% in 20 years. That's insane.
26 housing starts will even be lower than in 2020, 2021. So this Prime Minister is just not worth the cost and the corruption. Will the Prime Minister actually build the homes, not bureaucracy and photo ops, in his budget?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, we are going to put forward policies that are going to help solve the national housing crisis.
That's not an
higher
answer.
interest rate environments have made it difficult to build homes.
Wait, what did he
Mr.
just
Speaker,
say?
we are going to put forward policies that are going to help solve the national housing crisis. We know that higher interest rate environments have made it difficult to build homes.
Higher interest rate environments have made it more difficult to build homes. Really? Maybe just maybe bring back cafeterias, but they won't do that. Nope. Heaven forbid we solve two problems at once with employment and student nutrition. Yeah, well, none of that shit. That won't work. That would make sense. Again, you're making sense. You gotta stop doing that.
That's why we are cutting taxes on new home construction, which they oppose. It's why we're putting more money on the table to build new apartments, which they oppose. It's why we put money towards incentivizing changes for cities, which they oppose. And just this past week, their deputy leader held a press conference to proudly declare that they were siding with the NIMBYs when it came to municipal zoning reforms.
Oh yes, that's exactly what she declared.
To make it easier to build homes more quickly and more cost effectively. It's a shame the Conservatives oppose at every stage.
The member for Chicoutimi-Le-Fjord. Mr. Speaker.
Hey, it's Jean Chrétien's writing.
After 8 years of deficit spending, people are no longer able to find affordable housing. There's still more bureaucracy than common sense solutions.
And they have a Conservative member now. That's funny.
In just 24 hours, a landlord received over 200 requests for his apartment.
Jesus
and apartments
Christ.
are becoming increasingly rare and expensive. Mr. Speaker, in his next budget, will this Prime Minister finally build housing and stop adding red tape? The Honourable Minister of Public Services. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The next budget is coming up, and we already know there'll be other measures for housing. And my colleague also needs to know that only 2 months ago, we signed with the Quebec government an agreement for $1.8 billion, and this will provide the largest number of new housing units in the history of Quebec.
I love how they're missing out and skipping the mortgage insurers as being a big fucking problem. Yes. Yes. Mortgage insurers are a giant problem that we need to get a handle on.
This is an exceptional event that stems from extraordinary collaboration. Unlike the Conservatives who are just squabbling and insulting people, the provinces and the municipalities in particular, we are working for Quebecers with hundreds of thousands of units for the coming years.
In Griesbach. Mr. Speaker, Shaw Zeb is a young dad in Toronto. He feels stuck. He can't afford to leave his parents' home, and like many Canadians, is feeling hopeless. 85,000 people in Toronto alone are waiting for social housing.
Fuck
and
Toronto.
It's because 30 years of Liberals ignoring the problem while the gut and cut Conservatives lost over 800,000 affordable homes. Are the Liberals going to keep throwing money
Quiet,
at rich
NDP,
developers
dummy.
for luxury condos, or will they start to build social and affordable housing Canadians desperately need?
Here, here, here. The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing.
Mr. Speaker, let me begin by congratulating my friend and colleague on his recent appointment. I look forward to working with him to defend housing for the most vulnerable in the months ahead. With respect, Mr. Speaker, we have put investments on the table that are building affordable housing for low-income families over the past number of years.
You mean
and we are
pods?
accelerating that work. The upcoming federal budget is going to include
Here, low-income person, get in the box. It's a prefab constructed box, but it's still a box.
Economic statement an additional $1 billion investment to build more affordable housing stock, and we're working with provinces and territories by putting federal money on the table and using federal leadership to help solve the housing crisis, including for the most vulnerable.
I'm wondering, I'm gonna see when the budget is actually supposed to be delivered, because if it's delivered, like if it's presented during the coffee stream, or even if it goes like at 10 a.m., then I'll go live and I'll cover the budget.
I'm looking forward to continuing this work alongside my colleague.
The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
Grocery prices in the north are still sky high. In the latest flyer from Northmar in Iqaluit, a jar of pasta sauce is over $10.
Jesus Christ! I'll be right back. I'll be right back. People up north have to pay $10 for that. For this 350 milliliters of pasta sauce is $10 fucking dollars. What the fuck? That is batshit insane. $10 for that jar of pasta sauce.
When I asked the Minister of Northern Affairs about the Broken Nutrition North program, he pointed to internal reviews and studies. Indigenous peoples and Northerners...
They're in a remote fuck-off area that takes 20 hours to drive to. I get it, but Jesus Christ! Could you imagine having to pay $10 for that jar of oh my god.
Do not need more studies. They need to put food on the table. When will the Liberals
angry Inuit lady.
so people can put groceries on the table?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Northern Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank my colleague.
Oh Jesus, it's not even the actual Minister for Northern Affairs, it's the Parliamentary Secretary.
For a question. We know that affordability is an issue for all Canadian families, and we know that it is even a larger issue across the north. That's why in our time in government, we have doubled our investment in programs like Nutrition North. We've added to programs like the Harvesters Investment Program to allow people to have affordable foods that come from the land. We'll continue to work with the territories and all communities to support them in achieving affordable food and nutritious food for their communities.
Wow. That was a nothing answer. That was Jesus. After the depot in Medicine Hat, it's 20 hours to drive. Jesus.
The honourable member for Scarborough Agincourt.
Mr. Speaker, no child should go to school hungry, but we know that for many families that is the reality. For parents of young children, a national school food program would help them feed their children and reduce their food costs.
No. I would not. No, I do not want my kids eating your fuck off national school food program bullshit. I want you guys to lower taxes and lower inflation so that when I go to get pantry snacks and my husband goes to the grocery store to get staples, we can spend like, I don't know, he can spend $150 and not have 3 days worth of food, but 7 days worth of food. And I can go to the dollar store and go get pantry snacks and spend like, I don't know, $25 and have 7 days worth of pantry snacks instead of spending $40 for like 4 days worth of pantry snacks. Ugh. They picked her because she's like 5% eloquent.
By providing consistent access to nutritious meals, we can set kids up for success. Can the Minister of Families,
nutritious meals like a yogurt tube and a clementine?
On the progress of building a national food program.
The honourable member for the honourable Minister of Families, Children and Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I know my colleagues and fellow mums and dads on this side of the House agree that no child should go to school hungry. And
so stop charging their parents fucking thousands of dollars in taxes.
Budget 2024 for a national school food program. This program will ensure that children who arrive at school hungry have access to food, ensuring additional 400,000 kids will be able to access this food. We will work with the provinces and territories and Indigenous partners to roll this out. We know the Conservatives have voted against this, but we're doing
it. Because parents should be able to feed their children at home. Parents shouldn't have to have schools feed their kids to lower food costs. We should have lowered taxes so that we can fill our fridges and our cupboards more. So we can pack our kids a good healthy lunch. And so that we can feed our kids a good healthy breakfast and know what we're giving our kids. Shouldn't be up to you guys to feed our kids. It's up to us. And we want to know what we're feeding our kids. We won't know what you guys are feeding them. How are you guys going to store the food properly so it doesn't go bad? It's a school, not a fucking restaurant.
The honourable member for Elgin, Middlesex, London.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this NDP Liberal government, Canadians cannot achieve their goal of owning a home and continue to struggle amidst this crisis. According to a recent report in the Globe and Mail, Canada needs to complete 320,000 housing units annually from now until 2030 to meet the demand. Canadians have had enough and must see
that's a lot of houses
properly. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost nor the corruption. Will the Prime Minister stop basing this budget on bureaucracy and photo ops and actually build the homes?
Nope, he won't. I guarantee you next week's budget is going to be full of spending for woke initiatives. Why does she sound like she's on like 6 medications? Seriously, why do all female liberal ministers sound like they're heavily medicated? I don't know. Maybe they are. Maybe Chrystia Freeland's on a whole bunch of Adderall. That's why she's like the way she is.
The Honourable Minister of Families.
Mr. Speaker, quite the contrary. You know, I have the opportunity to speak with many mums and dads across this country.
She does sound heavily medicated. Holy shit.
About the programs that we've been putting in place to support them. I recently spoke to Chris, who lives in Peterborough. She's a Trent University student. She shared the impact of our waiving of the interest on student loans. She shared the impact of being able to access $10 a day childcare.
Yeah, and I guarantee you that the quality of that childcare is crap.
As well as the Canada Child Benefit. These programs have saved
Canada Child Benefit was a Harper thing. It was called the Canada Child Tax Credit.
Member for Elgin, Middlesex, London.
Very much, but Canadians need a home, and Canada has not built any fewer homes than we did back in the 1970s, where our population was half of what it is today. We need 320,000 units being built before 2030. This requires a record pace of construction, which will already exhaust an already burnt-out workforce. Canadians need solutions. This Prime Minister is not worth the cost. Will this Prime Minister stop making announcements and just get the houses built?
The Honourable Minister of Housing.
Get the houses built, get the taxes lowered, get the food on the table.
Stanley.
Helps mums and dads across this country afford a home, Mr. Speaker. Being able to have access to $10 a day childcare and get back into the workforce. We're seeing record numbers of women, of moms get back into the workforce, giving them the opportunity to contribute to their family finances and be able to afford a safe place to live.
Yeah, sure. 'Cause there's not tons of dual income families struggling to pay mortgages of $4,000 a month. No. That's not happening at all. It's only single income people that are struggling.
Contrast that to the Conservatives' continued fear-mongering on this side of the House.
Did she just say fear-mongering?
Conservatives' continued fear-mongering.
She did. She just said fear-mongering. Fear-mongering. That's what she just said. She didn't say fear-mongering. She said fear-mongering.
On this side of the House,
all
we're
right.
doing the hard work to support families.
That's right.
The Honourable Member for Bécancour-Clérable. After 8 years of this Liberal government, finding housing in Canada is a nightmare. It's ironic to see the ministers and prime ministers traveling the country boasting how incompetent they've been in terms of housing.
It really is. They're so proud of like the losses that we've taken. And they're like, but at least we're not the Harper government. And it's like, dude, the Harper government hasn't been in power for like 8 years now. It's all your fault
the proof
now.
Is that the CMHC reminded them last year that average home prices doubled last year, and that is under the Liberals.
Mm-hmm.
Will next week's budget finally be used to build homes, or is it going to increase red tape? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Obviously, next week's budget is going to contribute to even more housing, but let's
no, it's
think
not.
about the numbers. 6,000 and 8,000. The Conservative leader across the country created 6 affordable housing units, but in the past week, we've signed an agreement with Quebec to build 8,000 housing units just for Quebec. So, unfortunately, my Conservative colleagues in Quebec are not supporting the Liberals. So hopefully they'll be able to contact us.
What the fuck was that? They replaced one bad translator with another bad translator. Oh, Bishop says because statistically they are.
Mr. Speaker, what the minister needs to know is that when the member of Carleton was a minister, all housing was affordable in Canada, Mr. Speaker.
True.
Now the Liberals have doubled home prices for all Canadians. Young people would think that they'll never be homeowners. Seniors can no longer pay their rents. They have to stay in substandard housing, Mr. Speaker. 80% of people are going to have to renew their mortgages, but they're worried they won't be able to make their payments. Mr. Speaker, once again, will the Liberals finally use common sense next week by announcing that they're going to build housing and not just create more red tape? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague is right. All affordable housing built by all 6 units of affordable housing were affordable.
No, all the housing. All the housing across Canada was affordable. I remember back when Pinkolo and I were first together, like back in like 08, 09 and stuff, we were looking at houses, and like the big houses that are like millions of dollars now were like $500,000-$600,000. The house that we're in now, like Pinkolo said earlier in chat, would have been about 90 grand. Like all houses were affordable.
But we're going to build hundreds of thousands of affordable housing units under the agreements we've signed. Just in Quebec, we're talking about 8,000 social housing units that are planned for next month. That's a historic agreement. And we signed it with the Quebec government. The Honourable Member for Jean.
Do you want a cookie?
While the federal government encroaches on Quebec's areas of jurisdiction, it should look at its own areas of jurisdiction. The Prime Minister has finally admitted that immigration levels have exceeded our integration capacity. But who's the irresponsible person who increased permanent immigration without thinking of houses, schools, or health care?
That would have been the Prime Minister.
Who called people xenophobic when we talked about integration capacity?
That would have been the Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, if only we knew who this person was, could be even the same person who's racking up debt. Does the Prime Minister know the name of this irresponsible individual? The Honourable Minister. What the member across the way doesn't want to recognize is that we have an excellent relationship with the Quebec government.
Oh, an excellent relationship, huh?
To see where we can work
together.
I
see.
We agree that we want
That's
to
why people in Quebec just love you, right?
To ensure that temporary people here who have the
temporary people
they need. Thank you. The Honourable.
Temporary people. Okay. That's an interesting translation of immigrant. Temporary people. Jesus Christ, what is with the translators in Parliament? Immigrant is now translated from French as temporary people.
Member for Jonquière. Since the Prime Minister is responsible for the largest population increase since 1957, many people are blaming him for the housing crisis. Sure, he lit the fire, but is he trying to put it out? Did he lower immigration targets? No. Did he lighten Quebec's loads in terms of asylum seekers by sending them elsewhere? No. Has he reduced temporary immigration? No. He wants to hike it to 2 million. That is the highest level since last year, but
yeah, like he wants to import the population. He doesn't want the population to naturally grow. He wants to just import people into Canada.
The highest in history. Now that he sees that there's an integration capacity problem, is he going to fix it?
No.
The Honourable Minister of Immigration. The Bloc Québécois should watch the news, because we said that we were going to reduce the level of immigration from 7% to 5%. So where do they think that we should cut then? And they should need to be specific, because they all have temporary workers in their ridings. So they need to be clear on what they want.
Presenter. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are clear on the two most important economic issues we face: inflation and high interest rates.
Yep.
And they understand that government deficits cause inflation. Runaway deficits cause runaway inflation. This year's deficit is expected to be $47 billion.
Holy shit! Let's play that again.
Runaway inflation. This year's deficit is expected to be $47 billion, $7 billion higher than forecast. To say that
$47 billion is supposed to be our deficit. That is mind-blowing.
this is a runaway is an understatement. The Bank of Canada, the governor has been clear. Deficits are the main factor keeping interest rates high. Will the Prime Minister cap his runaway spending with a dollar-for-dollar rule to bring down interest rates and inflation?
The Honourable Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is important that a responsible government addresses issues around affordability. It addresses issues around environmental sustainability. It invests
None
in
of
growing
you
a
are
clean
doing
economy,
any of that.
And it has a sound fiscal management strategy.
You couldn't even get that sentence out. It has a sound fiscal strategy.
We are doing all of those things. On the other side of this House, we have a Conservative Party of Canada who simply wants to cut and to cut and to cut. They will cut affordable childcare. They will cut dental care. They will cut the National School Food Program.
Yeah, because we don't need any of those programs. There are provincial subsidies for daycares, and municipal subsidies, regional subsidies. There are provincial dental programs. There's provincial health care, and we don't need a national school food program.
The entire climate program. They will actually cut investments in growing a clean economy for the future. My goodness, it's such an irresponsible position that these folks are taking.
Haha. You got cut off.
Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, this government is just throwing taxpayer money at a wall without any thought about execution, and it's making matters worse for Canadians. It's a whack-a-mole approach to economic policy. Obviously, after 8 years of this NDP Liberal government, Canadians can't afford this Prime Minister, his excess spending, nor his corruption. Scotiabank says that rate cuts could be delayed by high government spending. Next week, the Minister of Finance will table her budget. It is time for the deficits to stop.
I definitely am going to be looking to see when the budget is going to be tabled because I want to cover this live.
The minister commit to a dollar-for-dollar reduction in order to bring inflation and interest rates under control.
The Honourable Minister of Natural Revenue.
Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will always be there to support
Look,
Canadians,
another
especially
over-medicated sounding
Canadians,
woman.
while maintaining a prudent fiscal position, including a AAA credit rating, Mr. Speaker, and the lowest debt-to-GDP ratio in the G7. We've been there for seniors with increases in the GIS and the OAS. We are there for school children with a national school.
We don't want one.
Program. We are there for millennials and Gen Z with
affordable
housing and rental accommodation. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we know how to do.
Fuck you, Gen X. Go home.
Providing for the most
You're drunk.
vulnerable in this country. Thank you.
You're drunk and you're out of touch. It's time for millennials to get into government.
Charleswood, St. James, Assiniboia, Headingley.
You know what's keeping interest rates so high, Mr. Speaker? Liberal deficit spending. That's what. Yes. Now we can add Scotiabank to the long list of economists saying after 8 years, this NDP Liberal government is not worth the cost. Record high deficits are keeping housing, food, and fuel at record high prices. Will the Prime Minister fix the budget and adopt our common sense conservative policy by bringing in a dollar-for-dollar rule to bring down inflation and interest rates?
Nope.
The Honourable Minister of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, unlike the party opposite, we actually know the role of the Independent Bank of Canada, which is to set monetary policy. While we are prudently managing taxpayer dollars, we will continue to
Prudently managing taxpayer dollars. Did she just say that? Did she actually just say prudently managing taxpayer dollars?
The role of the Independent Bank of Canada, which is to set monetary policy, while we are prudently managing taxpayer dollars, we will continue to invest in Canadians. Because of our policies, 86% of women between the ages of 25 and 45 are in the workforce. That's the Canada Child Benefit, and that's $10 a day childcare. Every single time the party opposite has an opportunity.
Women are working. Yay.
To support Canadians, they vote against, Mr. Speaker.
Doesn't mean
That's
anything.
Not common sense at all.
The honourable member for Richmond Centre.
Mr. Speaker, young Canadians in my community of Richmond and across Canada are struggling to find.
And this bullshit is exactly why I said 4 years instead of 3 when I renewed last week.
Find housing that fits their budget. We're scaling up our efforts to build more homes and build them faster at prices Canadians can afford. Through the Housing Accelerator Fund, our federal government is investing over $35 million in the city of Richmond to fast-track the construction of 1,000 homes over the next 3 years and 3,100 homes over the next
1,000 homes
decade.
over 3
Can
years.
the minister share with my community of Richmond and communities across British Columbia on how our government is supporting housing in Budget 2024?
The Honourable Minister of Infrastructure and Housing.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank my honourable colleague for his advocacy for his community that's going to help get thousands of homes built in Richmond over the course of the next number of years. In the upcoming federal budget, we're going to continue to put measures on the table that help accelerate the pace of home building. This includes low-cost financing to add tens of thousands of new rental units. This includes additional support to help nonprofits acquire housing that they will keep affordable forever. It includes no investments in
Affordable forever, you
to
say.
build homes more quickly by incentivizing home building in factories. With members like this advocating for
Home building in what?
By incentivizing home building in factories. With
Home building and
advocating for
factories,
their
huh?
community, we can put a plan on the table that will solve the national housing crisis.
The honourable member for Durham.
Hey, it's Jamil Giovanni. The new conservative guy.
Mr. Speaker, Durham Region is home to many millennials who dream of owning a house one day. For 8 years, this Prime Minister has been promising affordable housing. And
this guy's a millennial.
Yet things are only getting worse. Millennials know this Prime Minister is not worth the cost. The Liberal NDP government continues to announce expensive photo ops in the lead up to the federal budget. But we know, as millennials, that we deserve better.
That's right. Damn
How
straight.
can we ever believe any of these broken promises from the Liberal NDP government again?
Oh, damn. Well done, sir. That was his very first question.
Mr. Speaker, let me begin by offering my sincere congratulations to our newest colleague in the House of Commons. It's wonderful to have you here. What he may not realize, Mr. Speaker...
What is it? Hold on. I mean, she's not wrong. Our contact seems to work 700 hours a week balancing the budget. That's true.
His leader is actively campaigning on commitments to build fewer homes than we are already
No, he's not. What the fuck are you talking about? Outright lying.
He may not realize the Conservative leader has pledged to cut funding for home building, and he may not realize that his party held a press conference last week to say that they don't want to do anything on municipal reforms and have decided to side with the NIMBYs. Mr. Speaker, over his time here, I hope he comes to see the light and gets with a plan that will build more homes.
Wow. Did he just little boy Jamil Giovanni? Did he just basically go, oh, well, this poor young guy, he doesn't know any better. You know, he got fooled by the Conservatives, nice talk, and I really hope one day he sees the light and comes over to us. Seriously? They just little boy Jamil Giovanni. Holy fuck.
The honourable member for Kamloops. Thompson Caribou.
Mr. Speaker, after 8 years of this Liberal Prime Minister's radical safe supply agenda, we see lives being put at risk. After this NDP Liberal government decriminalized hard drugs, nurses now in northern British Columbia are being told to allow patients to use hard drugs in their rooms and have weapons in their hospital rooms.
Excuse me? Fucking what? Patients should be allowed hard drugs in their hospital rooms? No. No, thank you.
400 square foot, 2,800 square foot, kind of like leaving in a trailer.
400. Wait. Yeah, modular homes. You built the sections of the homes in the factory. Oh, you build the walls and all the sections in the factory and then have them... And then you ship them by truck to the truck site. 400 square feet to 2,800 square feet. Kind of like living in a trailer. Huh. Interesting.
This, Mr. Speaker, is unfair and unsafe for workers and patients. Mr. Speaker, when will this Prime Minister wake up and realize that his radical drug policy just isn't worth the cost?
Honourable Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Mr. Speaker.
Another heavily medicated sounding woman.
Every healthcare worker in this country deserves to be safe in their place of work. That's why this government passed legislation exactly for that reason. I too am concerned about the reports and expect the BC government to take the necessary actions to address the concerns raised by healthcare providers. On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker.
Dude, your guys are the ones that decriminalized hard drugs. What the fuck is the province supposed to do? If federally you guys have decriminalized hard drugs and there's no provincial police in BC, they just have the RCMP, what the fuck are they supposed to do?
We're saving lives. On that side of the House, they're busy with slogans and stigma.
The Honourable Member for Cumberland Colchester.
Mr. Speaker, 300% more government-issued opioids are being seized by police in British Columbia. More drugs on the street mean the street prices for opioids are falling across this country, and that's what we're seeing. This delusional NDP Liberal government wants you to think that giving out free drugs to our most vulnerable is a cure. But Canadians know this is nonsense. When will this narcissistic Prime Minister, who's not worth the cost, crime or corruption, end this cruel and disaster?
He's gonna get in trouble for that. He's gonna get in trouble for that.
I'll remind honourable members to be judicious in their. I will let the honourable member maybe rephrase that. The honourable member for Cumberland Colchester.
You know what, Mr. Speaker? What I would like to say here is, given the fact that I practice as a physician a long time, that's the diagnosis, Mr. Speaker.
Oh shit! Oh. He's a practice. Wow. He's gonna stand on it.
Listen, maybe we'll have a quick chat after question period. The Honourable Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives want to sow fear and stigma, on this side of the House, we know that
fear
we have
and
to stick
stigma?
To the facts.
No, he's a narcissist.
CMP says there is no evidence to suggest widespread diversion of drugs from alternatives is happening. However, prescription alternatives are not the issue, Mr. Speaker. Any diversion is illegal in this country, whether it's medication for ADHD, pain management, or anything else.
Okay, but you've decriminalized hard drugs, so what does that matter? If diversion of medication is like...
Those are the facts, Mr. Speaker. 70% of the overdose deaths are from an illegal toxic poison supply, and I challenge the member to actually read the data.
I would recommend fact-checking that one. Which one?
Mr. Speaker, any diversion evidence is... Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives want to...
Oh, fact-checking the nurses thing? Hold on, let's see. Let's see. How old is this? BC Nurses Union concerned with rise of illicit drugs from Global News. Let's see. What does this say? Let's see. Truly alarming. Oh, this is different. Click to close notification. Yes, please. I want the article. Okay, what does this say? So this is posted April 4th, updated April 4th. So this is new. Question period. The legislature erupted today over a leaked Northern Health memo advising nurses not to stop patients from using illicit drugs in hospital. So, yeah, this is a leaked memo from Northern Health. That's what they're talking about. Hospital staff, including nurses, are concerned that the procedure... are concerned with the perceived rise in illicit drugs. With illicit drug use and weapons inside hospitals, according to a memo obtained by Global News. The Northern Health memo directs nurses and staff on how to deal with illicit drugs on hospital settings. They are told not to measure, weigh, or test the substance. Nurses also have no responsibility to monitor substances for legal purposes and should avoid contact with unknown substances. The BC Nurses Union told Global News very few health authorities are making their employees feel safe, and if concerns are raised, they're not taken seriously. This is fucking crazy. This is true, honey. This is from Northern Health. This is a memo that Global News has gotten that says that they don't, just basically just leave them alone. Let them do drugs in their room. Let them have their weapons. Decriminalization doesn't mean that consumption should take place in a hospital setting. I think that just needs to be considered and that needs to be addressed, Adrian Giddard said, head of the BC Nurses Union. Ultimately, from our perspective, from our members, this is becoming a health and safety issue. Well, yeah. You don't know what diseases your patients may have. They're shooting up. They're doing drugs. They're whatever drugs they're on is going to alter their personality. Whatever drugs they're on is going to fuck with their treatment plan. The safety of nurses and patients in BC hospitals was a hot topic of the legislature as well. The latest health... So yeah, that... The BC NDP has created a free-for-all for open drug use, shockingly, even within our hospitals, said BC United Health critic. The opposition has highlighted their perceived downside to BC's drug decriminalization and has alleged patients are using hard drugs, including smoking fentanyl and meth inside hospital treatment rooms. one example, they said someone was smoking meth just hours after the birth of a newborn baby, exposing hospital staff and other patients. How many more nurses have to be put at risk and infants exposed to illicit hard drugs in our hospitals before the Premier puts an end to the reckless decriminalization experiment? That's a valid question. That is a valid question. Because it's obviously not working. We are seeing huge amounts of drug overdoses and deaths and spiked drugs. Like, this is crazy.
The House of Commons Standing Committee on Fisheries and Oceans adopted a motion proposed by Liberal members of Parliament to launch the official 5-year review of the Fishery Act. Can the Minister of Fisheries and Oceans explain the significance of the Fisheries Act review for coastal communities to this House?
Good question.
L'Honorable Minister Pêche.
The Honourable Minister.
To congratulate the Liberal members of the Standing Committees of Fisheries and Ocean for moving forward with this important review. Coastal communities know that the Fisheries Act does more than just regulate fishing, but is also a key law that impacts local economies.
Holy French accent on you.
And reconciliation. This review is just the first step toward a Fisheries Act that work better for communities on all coasts. I look forward to seeing the committee's recommendation at the end of this study.
The Honourable Member for Timmins, James Bay.
This government promised to ban the AR-15. That's the weapon that was used to murder 26-year-old children at Sandy Hook.
That's not even in our country!
On Thursday, the Conservative leader was tweeting that the government wasn't going after the AR-15, but hunting rifles. So little wonder he gets endorsed by Alex Jones, who's notorious.
Oh, fuck off! He didn't get endorsed by Alex Jones. Alex Jones just said he's an alright guy. That's not an endorsement.
The quote, real deal of disinformation for the likes of Alex Jones.
The Honourable Minister of Public Service, or Public Safety.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for his question and salute his long service in this House on behalf of the people of Northern Ontario. Mr. Speaker, I share...
Yes. He is a very good, long-standing serving member. Yes.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety.
I've never had that much applause, Mr. Speaker, in the House before. Mr. Speaker, I share our colleagues' concern about the Conservative policy with respect to gun control. We have said from the beginning, law-abiding hunters and sports persons are not the subject of these regulations.
Bullshit!
Mr. Speaker, what we're doing is taking away guns that were designed to kill people on the battlefield, and we're also prepared to compensate the people that bought those guns lawfully. It's something the Conservative Party will undo, and we're committed to keeping Canadians safe.
Absolutely.
The Honourable Member for Richmond, Arthabaska. Mr. Speaker, since I've been a member here, every February we receive the list of projects that were accepted or refused under New Horizons, a program that improves the lives of seniors.
New Horizons.
Unfortunately, this year, for a reason we weren't told, we haven't had access to this information, so we can't help our local organizations. I've sent 3 emails, made 5 phone calls, and even sent a fax to the Office of the Minister of Labour and seniors, but I didn't even receive an acknowledgement of receipt. Mr. Speaker, it's very discouraging. In order to do our work properly, we would like the Minister to explain why we're not getting this information, and will the situation be rectified? Thank you. The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, and I thank the Honourable Member for the question, and even a fax, so I've got no excuse there. I will...
Ha! You just got called out.
Well, I will dig in deeper and get the answers that the member's looking for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Great idea. And that's all the time we have for question period today.
Wow, what a shit show. What a shit show that was. And What a return. What a return to Can Polly we have here, ladies and gentlemen. Just, holy crap. The amount of bullshit that came out today. And I definitely will be looking at when the budget is going to be presented so that I can cover it live for everybody, because that's definitely going to be something to look at. And yeah, it's just holy shit. I just can't even believe some of the shit that we heard today. I hope that Trudeau's in there tomorrow so we can actually see some stuff between him and Polyev, because that's always good. So, yeah, that, what a fucking, just, I don't even know how to describe that, what we just saw. That was insane. Absolutely insane. Oh my goodness. All right, my friends, I need to end and go to the washroom, but I will be back tonight for the Combat Hour. And I'm thinking maybe I will try to organize the King of the Hill or something, because ranked is starting to piss me off, and I don't want to get pissed off with my game that I like. So I'm going to take a look see if I can get a King of the Hill going with some of the BFGC guys, and maybe we'll have a different thing going on tonight. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed yourselves today, and I will be back tonight with the Combat Hour and tomorrow with another coffee stream. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye, everyone.